The first thing I felt was pain. It spread through my shoulders, ribs, and legs like fire. I opened my eyes slowly and stared at a white ceiling. A machine beside me beeped. Someone noticed. "He's awake." A nurse hurried over. "Can you hear me?" I swallowed. "Yeah." "Good. Don't try to move." "I wasn't planning to." She smiled a little. "I'm Nurse Olivia. You've been unconscious for 2 days after a construction accident." 2 days. The words echoed inside my head. What happened? A steel beam collapsed. Your coworkers called an ambulance immediately. You're lucky to be alive. Lucky. It didn't feel that way. She checked the monitor before looking back at me. "I need to ask a few questions." "Fine. What's your name?" "Daniel." "Last name?" "Hayes." She wrote it down. "Date of birth?" I answered. "Good." She hesitated. "Now, who's your emergency contact?" I closed my eyes. "I don't have one." "You mean you don't remember?" "I remember." She frowned. "Parents?" "No." "Brothers or sisters?" "No." "A wife?" "No." "Girlfriend?" "No." She lowered the clipboard. "Mr. Hayes, everyone has someone." I looked straight at her. "Not me." She stayed quiet. "I'll ask again later. You'll get the same answer." She sighed softly. "I'll let the doctor know you're awake." She walked toward the door. Just before leaving, another woman stepped inside wearing a white coat. She looked about 35 with tired eyes that somehow felt familiar. She stopped beside my bed. "I'm Dr. Emily Carter." I nodded. "Nice to meet you." She picked up my chart. "How's the pain?" "Like I got hit by a truck." "You almost did." That made me laugh once before my ribs protested. "Don't do that," she said. I noticed. She checked my bandages carefully. "Any dizziness?" "A little." "Nausea?" "No." She looked relieved. "Good." She continued reading. "I see Nurse Olivia couldn't confirm your emergency contact." "There isn't one." She looked up. "I'm sorry. I don't have any family." The words left my mouth quietly. The room became completely silent. She froze. One hand tightened around the chart. The other began shaking. For one strange second, tears filled her eyes. She turned away so quickly I almost thought I imagined them. "Doctor." She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she took one slow breath before facing me again. "I'm sorry. You okay?" "Yes." "You don't look okay." "I'm fine." Her voice sounded forced. I studied her face. Had we met before? No. I would have remembered someone like her. "You looked surprised." "I wasn't." "You stopped moving." "I was thinking." "About what?" She looked directly into my eyes. "About how lonely those words must have felt." "They didn't." "You mean that?" "I do. My family disappeared a long time ago." She blinked. "What happened?" "They left." "I'm sorry." "I stopped being sorry years ago." She nodded without speaking. After checking my heartbeat, she closed the file. "You'll stay here for several more days." I figured. "We'll monitor your recovery closely." "Okay." She started walking away. Just before reaching the door, she stopped again. Without turning around, she asked quietly, "Are you absolutely sure there's nobody you want us to call?" I answered without hesitation. "No." She stood there for another second. Then she whispered something I couldn't understand and left the room. A few minutes later, Nurse Olivia returned with my medicine. "Everything all right?" I asked. She looked toward the hallway. "I've never seen Dr. Carter react like that before." "React like what?" "Like she just saw a ghost." I stared at the closed door. For some reason, I couldn't stop thinking about the tears she tried so hard to hide. Morning came with another round of pain, medicine, and questions. I expected Dr. Carter to stay away after yesterday, but she walked into my room before breakfast. "Good morning," she said. "You're back." "I am." "You look tired." "I didn't sleep much." "Hospital work?" She gave a small smile. "Something like that." She checked my chart again. "Pain level 6. Better than yesterday, I guess." She adjusted my bandage with careful hands. You'll heal. I've heard that before. You don't believe me? I believe bones heal. And hearts. I stopped asking. She looked down for a moment. I hope you're wrong. Before I could answer, another familiar voice came from the hallway. Daniel. I smiled. Mark. My coworker rushed inside carrying a paper bag. You scared us all. I've had better weeks. He laughed. I brought coffee. The nurse won't let me drink it. I figured. He placed the bag on the table anyway. I'll drink it for you. Dr. Carter stepped back. I'll give you both a few minutes. As she reached the door, Mark whispered, She's been checking on you every chance she gets. I frowned. Really? Every shift? That's strange. I thought maybe she knew you. I've never seen her before. After she left, Mark pulled up a chair. The guys miss you. How bad was it? The beam came down without warning. I don't remember. You pushed Kevin out of the way. I did. You saved his life. I stared at him. I don't even remember making that choice. He keeps saying he owes you everything. I just hope he's okay. He is. Silence settled between us. Finally he asked, Anyone from your family coming? You already know the answer. I was hoping it changed. It won't. I'm sorry. So am I. He rubbed the back of his neck. You never told me much. There wasn't much to tell. What happened? I let out a slow breath. I was 7. And I woke up in a foster home. Just like that. That's all I remember. No parents. None. No visits. Never. They never came back? No. He shook his head. I can't imagine. You don't have to. A soft knock interrupted us. Nurse Olivia entered with fresh medication. Time for this. I swallowed the pills. She looked at Mark. 5 more minutes. Yes, ma'am. She smiled before turning to me. If you need anything, press the button. I will. After they both left, I noticed Dr. Carter standing outside the glass window. She wasn't looking at my chart. She was looking at me. When our eyes met, she quickly walked away. That happened again that afternoon. And again the next day. Every time she entered my room, she asked normal questions. Any pain? Sleeping better? Can you move your arm? But every answer seemed less important than simply hearing my voice. By the 3rd day, even Nurse Olivia noticed. You know, she said while changing my bandage, Dr. Carter never visits patients this often. Maybe she thinks I'm interesting. She smiled. Or maybe you remind her of someone. I thought about that after she left. Maybe I looked like an old friend. Maybe I reminded her of someone she couldn't save. Whatever the reason, she carried sadness every time she looked at me. That evening, after finishing her shift, Dr. Carter entered her office alone. She locked the door. She opened the bottom drawer of her desk and carefully removed an old photograph. A young woman smiled beside a little boy with bright eyes. Her fingers trembled as they touched the child's face. Tears finally slipped down her cheeks. My little brother, she whispered. Daniel, I thought I lost you forever. She pressed the picture against her heart while I lay only a few doors away, completely unaware that my life had already begun to change. The next 3 days passed quietly, but nothing about Dr. Emily Carter felt normal anymore. Every morning she walked into my room with my chart in her hands. How did you sleep? She asked. Better. Any pain? Less than yesterday. I'm glad. She always smiled. It never reached her eyes. Every time she looked at me, I caught the same sadness hiding behind her professional voice. Finally I asked, Have we met before? She froze for a second. I don't think so. You don't sound sure. I'm sure. Then why do you keep looking at me like that? She looked away. You remind me of someone. Who? She picked up my chart. A person I lost. Before I could ask another question, she walked out. Her answer stayed inside my head all day. The next afternoon, Nurse Olivia helped me walk through the hallway for the first time. Take it slow, she said. My legs forgot how to work. They'll remember. We both laughed. Halfway down the hallway she stopped. I need something from the supply room. I'll wait. I'll only be a minute. As she disappeared, I leaned against the wall. That's when I heard raised voices coming from around the corner. You have to stop seeing him. The man's voice sounded angry. Emily answered immediately. I decide which patients I treat. Not this one. Why? Because the truth will destroy everything. I frowned. What truth? Emily lowered her voice, but I could still hear her. I can't keep lying. You've lied for years. I was lied to. It doesn't matter anymore. It matters to me. It shouldn't. It does. The man spoke again. If he finds out who he really is, everything we've built will collapse. Silence followed. Then Emily whispered, he deserves the truth. No. He deserves his family. He doesn't have one. My heart skipped. Those words sounded strangely familiar. Emily answered with surprising anger. Don't ever say that again. You'll ruin all our lives. I've already lost enough. I carefully stepped closer. The older man sighed. Stay away from him. I won't. You don't have a choice. I do. You'll regret it. I already regret 20 years. Footsteps echoed toward me. I quickly turned and pretended to study a painting on the wall. A tall man with gray hair walked past me without saying a word. His expensive suit looked completely out of place inside the hospital. A second later, Emily appeared. She looked shocked when she saw me. Daniel. I was stretching. She studied my face. How much did you hear? Hear what? She hesitated. Nothing. I only heard people arguing. She forced a smile. Families argue. I thought you said you lost yours. Her smile disappeared. I should get back to work. She hurried away before I could stop her. A few seconds later, Nurse Olivia returned. Ready to head back? Who's the man in the suit? She looked surprised. You saw him? He was arguing with Dr. Carter. Her expression changed. I didn't hear that. But you know him. She stayed silent. Olivia, I really shouldn't talk about doctors' personal lives. I'm not asking for gossip. I know. Then tell me why they looked terrified. She took a slow breath. I wish I knew. Somehow I didn't believe her. For the first time since waking up, I felt like my accident wasn't the biggest mystery inside this hospital. That evening, I couldn't stop thinking about the argument. Every sentence repeated inside my head. The truth will destroy everything. He deserves his family. Who were they talking about? The answer felt close, but I couldn't reach it. The next morning, Nurse Olivia entered my room carrying fresh towels and medicine. You look like you didn't sleep. I didn't. Worried. Confused. She nodded slowly. As she turned to leave, a thick brown envelope slipped from the stack she was carrying. It landed beside my bed. She quickly picked it up. Her face turned pale. Oh, what is it? She stared at the envelope for several seconds before letting out a quiet sigh. Dr. Carter dropped this in the nurse's station. Then give it back. I should. She looked toward the hallway. Maybe you should see it first. She handed it to me. I didn't say that. I looked at her. Are you sure? No. Then why? Because I think you've lived without answers for too long. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were old newspaper articles. One headline caught my attention. Local couple killed in highway crash. 2 children left behind. Asterisk asterisk. I frowned. There was also a copy of a court document. Parts of it were highlighted. Then I found a faded photograph. A smiling young woman held the hand of a little boy. The boy looked exactly like me. My breathing stopped. What is this? Before Olivia could answer, the door opened. Emily walked inside. She froze the moment she saw the photograph in my hands. Olivia! I'm sorry, Olivia whispered before quietly leaving the room. Emily closed the door. Neither of us spoke. Finally, I held up the picture. Who is this? She covered her mouth. Please, answer me. Tears filled her eyes. That's our mother. I stared at her. Our? She nodded. And that's you. No. It is. No. I'm telling you the truth. I stood despite the pain. Don't lie to me. I'm not. Then explain it. She wiped her tears. My name isn't just Emily Carter. I waited. I'm Emily Carter Hayes. The room became silent. My little brother. She looked directly at me. It's me. Couldn't breathe. No. You were 7. No. Our parents died in a car accident. Stop. Our uncle took us in. Stop. He separated us. I stepped backward. No. He wanted our parents' money. You're lying. He bribed people. No. He changed the records. I slammed the photograph onto the bed. So where were you? I searched for you. For 20 years? Yes. You expect me to believe that? I hired investigators. You never found me. They told me you died after disappearing from foster care. And you believed them? I had no proof. You gave up. I never did. You forgot me. I never forgot you. I laughed through tears. I spent my whole childhood believing nobody wanted me. Emily broke down completely. I wanted you every single day. Then where were you when I cried myself to sleep? She couldn't answer. Where were you when every birthday passed? She looked at the floor. Where were you when I begged strangers to tell me why my family left? I'm sorry. I don't want your apology. I know. I needed my sister. I know. You weren't there. She sobbed quietly. I failed you. I turned away because looking at her hurt too much. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Then her phone rang. She answered. What? Her face lost every bit of color. She looked toward me with fear. He knows, she whispered. Who? She lowered the phone. Richard. My stomach tightened. He knows I've told you the truth. She closed her eyes. And if he's coming here, she whispered, he'll do anything to keep us apart again. The next morning, Emily sat beside my bed without saying a word. Neither of us knew where to begin. Finally, I broke the silence. So what happens now? She looked at me. Richard won't stop. I figured. He has money, connections, and people who still believe his lies. I'm tired of lies. So am I. The door opened before either of us could continue. A tall man wearing an expensive suit walked inside. I recognized him immediately. Richard. He smiled as if nothing had happened. There you are. Emily stood. You shouldn't be here. He ignored her. He looked at me instead. Daniel, I'm Richard Carter. I know. I'm your uncle. I know that too. He sighed. Then you've also heard stories about me. I've heard enough. Emily stepped forward. Leave. I came to help. You came to control him. Richard laughed softly. You've always been dramatic. I crossed my arms. What do you want? The truth. Emily shook her head. No. You want your version. Richard looked at me again. Your sister is confused. My sister. She's emotional. I asked what you want. He pulled up a chair. I want to save you from making the biggest mistake of your life. What mistake? Believing someone driven by guilt. Emily's face hardened. Don't. He ignored her. Daniel, after your parents died, Emily blamed herself for everything. I was a child. I know. So was she. Exactly. He leaned closer. Grief changes people. You expect me to believe she invented all this? I expect you to question it. I stayed quiet. He continued. Have you seen any proof? Emily reached into her bag. I have proof. Richard smiled. Old papers. They're real. They're incomplete. I looked between them. My head already hurts. Richard nodded sympathetically. That's why you shouldn't rush. Emily answered immediately. I searched for him for years. You searched after spending the inheritance. She stared at him. That's another lie. He shrugged. You've become very good at denying reality. I looked at Richard. If you're innocent, why were you arguing with her? His smile faded. Families disagree. About what? Private matters. You said the truth would destroy everything. Emily looked at me. You heard that? I heard enough. Richard stood. I think I've stayed long enough. He handed me a business card. If you ever want the real story, call me. Emily grabbed the card before I could. He won't. Richard smiled one last time. We'll see. After he left, Emily sank into the chair. I'm sorry. For what? He's already starting. Starting what? Making you doubt me. I didn't answer, because part of me already did. An hour later, Mark arrived carrying a laptop. You look serious. I feel serious. Emily stood. I'll give you two some privacy. After she left, Mark sat beside me. So what? You look like your world's upside down. It probably is. I told him everything. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back. That's a lot. I don't know who to believe. He thought for a moment. Then don't believe either of them. What? Believe evidence. I looked at him. Can we even find any? He smiled. We can try. For the first time since learning the truth, I felt like I wasn't completely alone. Maybe answers still existed. Maybe someone had buried them. And maybe it was finally time to dig them back up. 2 days later, I sat in a small office across from a man named Daniel Brooks. Emily introduced him carefully. He helped me search for you. The lawyer extended his hand. I'm sorry we didn't meet sooner. I shook his hand. Can you prove what happened? He didn't hesitate. Yes. I looked at Emily. How? Daniel opened a folder. Because Richard made mistakes. He placed several documents on the table. These are court records from 20 years ago. I picked them up. What am I looking at? Your original foster placement. I read the papers slowly. Why does it say my records were sealed? Because someone requested it. Who? Daniel looked at Emily. Richard. My stomach tightened. Why? Because he wanted control. Emily spoke quietly. After our parents died, Richard convinced the court that I was too young to care for you. He said that. He told everyone I was unstable. I looked at the documents. And then, Daniel answered. He arranged for you to be placed in another state. Why would he do that? Because your parents left everything to both of you. I looked up. Everything. Your parents owned several properties and investments. Emily's voice broke. Richard couldn't access them while you were still connected to the family. So he removed me. Daniel nodded. Exactly. I felt something inside me break. All those years. All those questions. The answer had always been money. Not that I wasn't wanted. Not that I wasn't loved. Someone had stolen my life. Mark looked angry. That man destroyed a child's future for money. Nurse Olivia, who had joined us, shook her head. How could anyone do that? I stared at the papers. I spent years thinking my parents abandoned me. Emily reached toward me. I know. I moved my hand away. She stopped. The pain on her face was obvious. But my pain was still louder. I don't know how to trust you. She nodded. I understand. You knew him. I did. You lived with him. I was 16. But he was your family. He was the person who lied to me too. I looked away. I want to believe you. I hope one day you can. Daniel placed another file on the table. There is more. What? Financial records. I opened it. Numbers filled the pages. Transfers. Accounts. Payments. My hands became cold. These are money Richard moved after your parents died. How much? Daniel told me. I couldn't speak. Emily whispered. He stole everything. For years I thought my life was ruined by people leaving. Now I realized someone had destroyed it on purpose. That night, I stood alone near the hospital window. Emily found me there. You're angry. Yes. At me. I stayed quiet. She looked down. I deserve that. I don't know what I feel. That's okay. No, it isn't. She looked at me. I lost 20 years. I know. You got memories with our parents. I barely remember them. You got to know them. She started crying. I remember you. I looked at her. What? I remember holding your hand when you were scared. I swallowed. I remember promising I would find you. Then why didn't you? She closed her eyes. Because Richard made sure I couldn't. The next morning, Daniel called with news. The judge agreed to review the case. Which judge? Judge Eleanor Hayes. Emily smiled slightly. She's known for being fair. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. But before I could enjoy it, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Richard's voice came through. Daniel. I said nothing. Please listen to me. Why? Because once this truth comes out, everything changes. You mean your life changes? He became silent. Then his voice lowered. I can fix this. How? Just stay quiet. I laughed bitterly. You're afraid. I am asking you as family. I looked at the phone. Family? My voice hardened. You stopped being family when you took mine away. A long silence followed. Then Richard whispered, Don't make me destroy everything. I ended the call, but I knew from his voice. He wasn't threatening me. He was scared. The courtroom was silent when I walked inside. I expected to feel angry. I expected satisfaction. Instead, I felt tired. 20 years of pain had brought me to this moment, and I wasn't sure revenge could fix anything. Mark stood beside me. You ready? I looked at him. No. He smiled sadly. Good answer. Why? Because only someone who understands the weight of this can win. Across the room, Richard sat with his lawyers. For the first time, he didn't look powerful. He looked afraid. Emily sat behind me. She whispered, Daniel. I turned. Yes. No matter what happens today, I'm sorry. I looked away. Don't say that yet. Why? Because I don't know if I can forgive you. She nodded. I understand. The judge entered, and everyone stood. The hearing began. Daniel Brooks presented the first evidence. These documents prove the adoption records were altered. Richard's lawyer stood. Objection. The judge looked at him. Denied. My heart beat faster. Another witness entered. It was Sarah Collins, the former social worker. She looked at me. I'm sorry. I nodded. What happened? She took a breath. I was told the child had no living relatives. Who told you? She looked toward Richard. Mr. Carter. The courtroom became quiet. Daniel asked, Did you ever receive documents proving that? No. Why did you accept his statement? Because he provided official-looking papers. I looked at Richard. He avoided my eyes. The next witness revealed financial records. Then another exposed the hidden transfers. Every piece of evidence removed another piece of the mask Richard had worn for years. Finally, Emily stood. My chest tightened. She faced the judge. I spent my life believing I failed my brother. Her voice shook. But the truth is, someone made sure I couldn't find him. She looked at me. I searched everywhere. A tear fell from her eye. I never stopped loving him. I looked down. Those words hurt, because part of me wanted to believe them. Part of me still remembered being 7 years old and alone. Richard suddenly stood. This is ridiculous. The judge looked at him. Sit down, Mr. Carter. You don't understand. I understand enough. No one knows what I sacrificed. I stared at him. Sacrifice. He looked at me. I protected this family. I laughed quietly. You destroyed it. His face changed. You think she loves you? Emily looked at him. Enough. You think she searched? Stop. You were forgotten. My hands tightened. But this time, his words didn't break me. Because I finally knew the truth. Richard stared at me, waiting for anger. I felt it. But I also felt something else. Freedom. Daniel placed the final document before the judge. This proves Richard Carter transferred the stolen inheritance into personal accounts. The judge removed her glasses. Mr. Carter, do you have anything to say? Richard opened his mouth. For the first time, he had no answer. The room stayed silent as everyone waited for the truth, He could no longer hide anymore. The judge looked through the documents one final time. Then she looked at Richard. The evidence shows a deliberate pattern of deception, financial theft, and manipulation. Richard shook his head. No. This court finds that you knowingly separated a child from his legal family for personal gain. I didn't. Enough. The judge's voice stopped him. I will not allow you to turn this into another performance. Richard lowered his head. For years, he had controlled every room he entered. Not anymore. The decision came quickly. The stolen assets were returned. The records were corrected. And Richard was taken away to face the consequences of his actions. I watched him leave. I thought I would feel victorious. I didn't. I only felt empty. Emily found me outside the courtroom. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, "You did it." I shook my head. "We did." She looked surprised. "After everything?" "I know what happened." She lowered her eyes. "I still hurt you." "Yes. I wish I could change that." "So do I." Tears filled her eyes. "Do you hate me?" The question stayed between us. I looked at the woman who had spent years searching for me. The woman who lost me because someone lied. But also the woman who wasn't there when I needed her most. "I don't hate you." She looked up. "You don't?" "No." "Then what do you feel?" I took a deep breath. "I feel like I lost a childhood I can never get back." She nodded slowly. "I know. And forgiveness doesn't mean pretending that never happened. I understand. It means I don't want that pain controlling my future." She covered her mouth as tears fell. "Are you saying?" "I'm saying I want to try," she cried. Not the painful tears I had seen before. Different ones. The kind that came with hope. Months passed after the trial. Healing wasn't quick. Some wounds don't disappear because the truth is revealed. But slowly things changed. Emily visited often. At first, our conversations felt forced. Then they became natural. She learned about my life. I learned about hers. One afternoon, we sat in a small cafe. "You still hate coffee?" she asked. I smiled. "I never hated coffee. You told me you did. I was 7. She laughed. "I guess you were dramatic." I guess I was. It was strange. After losing 20 years, we were building something new. Not replacing the past. Creating a future. 1 year after my accident, I returned to the hospital where everything started. I stood outside the same hallway. The same place where I told a stranger I had no family. Emily stood beside me. "You remember this place?" "Every detail." She smiled sadly. "I remember that day too." "What were you thinking?" She looked at the ground. "I thought I lost you again." I turned toward her. "You mean when I said I had no family?" She nodded. "I spent years believing you were gone." She wiped away a tear. "Then I heard you say those words. And I realized losing you once wasn't the worst part." "What was?" "Knowing you were alive and still believing you had nobody." My throat tightened. For so long, I thought family was something people either had or lost. I was wrong. Sometimes family is something people fight to find again. I looked at Emily, the sister I thought I would never meet again, the sister who had been searching for me all along. "Thank you." She smiled. "For what?" "For finding me." She shook her head. "You found me too." I smiled. For the first time in my life, the word felt natural. "Sister." Her eyes filled with tears. And this time, neither of us looked away. Because after years of betrayal, pain, and loneliness, I finally understood something. Family isn't only about who stays from the beginning. Sometimes it's about who chooses to stay when everything falls apart.